Welcome to the Mortuary Masterclass, brought to you by the Champion Company, where preservation meets purpose, and every step is part of your journey to safer solutions. In this episode, part 2 of 2, on the embalming chemistry of cases with edema, we're wrapping up with a clear look at how embalmers can tackle these challenging cases more effectively. As we explored in part 1, traditional methods like Epsom salts, waterless embalming, and heavy humectants often fall short, delivering inconsistent results and adding unnecessary chemical load. So what actually works better? Our testing showed that the most effective results, whether magnesium sulfate was included or not, came from combining glutaraldehyde with formaldehyde. By adding just a quarter of the usual amount of glutaraldehyde, we were able to cut formaldehyde use by at least half without losing effectiveness. In fact, mixtures of glutaraldehyde, formaldehyde, and magnesium sulfate performed as well as, or even better than, formaldehyde alone, while using far less magnesium sulfate than traditional approaches. Using glutaraldehyde as the primary preservative, paired with the tissue drying power of formaldehyde, maximizes the impact of the solution, delivering firm, dry tissue with less chemical burden overall. Here's something important to understand. About 70% of the tissue moisture reduction during embalming in cases with edema comes from the formaldehyde concentration. Magnesium sulfate accounts for the other 30%, or less. That's why Epsom salt treatments can feel hit or miss, because the real results still depend on the formaldehyde level in the solution. Some embalmers have tried relying on arterial fluids with higher alcohol content, but once those fluids are diluted, the alcohol difference is negligible and doesn't impact the outcome. What about waterless embalming? As it turns out, it does little to improve success when treating edema cases. Its main benefit comes from encouraging higher formaldehyde concentrations, and as we've seen, formaldehyde itself is what really matters. The small reduction in added water simply isn't significant compared to the impact of a properly concentrated solution. Humectant rebound is another point worth noting. While injecting very high concentrations of humectants can have a mild drying effect, the amount needed to make a meaningful difference in severe cases with edema is impractical and often creates a solution too thick to inject effectively. Lanolin, because it's insoluble, doesn't produce this effect and cannot be injected at meaningful levels. So while the rebound effect exists, it's not reliable enough to stand alone as a solution. So where does that leave us? After weighing the strengths and weaknesses of these traditional methods, it's clear that simply adding more chemicals or sticking to outdated techniques isn't the answer. To truly improve outcomes, and do so with less overall chemical burden, we need to take a smarter, more balanced approach. The most effective modern method uses glutaraldehyde as the primary preservative, with formaldehyde added as a supplement to enhance tissue dehydration. This works best when combined with a balanced, hypertonic mixture of salts and their acidic counterparts, which helps prevent pH swings, keeps everything soluble, and allows the chemicals to work quickly and effectively. For embalmers looking for a ready-to-use solution that applies this science in practice, products like Xeros Edema Factor, combined with specialist 30 arterial fluid, deliver firm, dry tissue with less chemical load. These modern salt combinations also create higher osmotic tension because they dissolve much more efficiently, 2 to 3 times better than the old Epsom salt additives. This promotes better secondary dilution during injection and improves your chances of success. Instead of just adding water to your dilution, you can also use a modern, water-soluble humectant, like humectant aloe factor, to add an extra hyperosmotic effect, as long as the solution stays thin enough to inject. Together, these techniques offer embalmers the best chance for consistent, effective results. When it comes to cavity treatment in cases with edema, it's best to use a high preservative cavity chemical with little or no water content, such as Cavity 48, and to re-aspirate and re-inject if needed to ensure the cavities are thoroughly treated. So what have we learned? Cases with edema remain one of the most persistent challenges in embalming, and with advances in medical care prolonging life, these cases will likely become even more common. But as we've discussed, modern chemicals paired with proven techniques make it possible to handle this problem effectively. High-technology fluids that use glutaraldehyde as the driver, with supplemental formaldehyde for dehydration, deliver excellent results. When combined with acid-base balanced salts at high concentrations, the solution achieves greater hyperosmolarity, controls pH, and produces firmer, drier, and more predictable outcomes than ever before. By taking the time to understand the science and applying these modern solutions thoughtfully, embalmers can approach even the toughest edema cases with confidence. Thanks for tuning in to this special edition of the Mortuary Masterclass. Until next time, keep doing what you do best, championing the prep room with purpose, because embalmers matter, and every step forward is part of your journey to safer solutions. That's the champion difference.